Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Welcome to America Decides. It's great to have you with us. President-elect Trump and his team are, as you might expect, moving forward with transition plans for a second term. The president-elect and vice president-elect, J.D. Vance, both at Trump's Mar-a-Lago home in Palm Beach, Florida. Businessmen Howard Lutnick and Linda McMahon, who served as the small business administrator in the first Trump term, will head up the transition team. They were announced in those positions this summer. We're now waiting to see what Trump's administration will look like and what policies might emerge on day one. It's worth noting, Trump won by broadening his coalition from 4 years ago in nearly every state with almost every significant demographic group. Today, President Biden addressed the nation for the first time since Election Day. He promised an orderly transition of power and called Harris's loss a, quote, setback.
Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get knocked down. But the measure of our character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up. Remember, a defeat does not mean we are defeated. We lost this battle. The America of your dreams is calling for you to get back up.
We start tonight with Robert Costa right here with me at the desk in Washington and Caitlin Huey-Burns in West Palm Beach, Florida. Caitlin, I want to begin with you. This is the time to watch those who go in and out of the transition headquarters. What are you seeing? What's most notable to you?
Yeah, West Palm Beach is the place to be post-election time. This transition team is already at work, though I will say lots of staffers are really recovering from a sprint at the end of that campaign and a late election night. Here at our hotel, for example, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is also helping with the transition, has been holding court, been seeing him around a lot, too. And what's significant about this, Major, is that Trump is approaching this process of building out a government very differently than he did in 2016 for several reasons. I mean, obviously, he has done this before. He knows what he wants, but he also feels, as he has said publicly, burned by people that he had picked for his cabinet before. Many of those former officials were later critical of the former president, and some of them, even his former chief of staff, questioned his fitness for office. So he has said on the trail that he will do things differently. Loyalty, of course, with Donald Trump is always a big factor. But advisors have said they're looking for people who will implement his agenda. And what's really notable is that you saw the map that you just showed. He is also going to Washington with a Senate majority and a mandate for governing, given his sweep in the Electoral College, those battleground states, and he is on track to narrowly win the popular vote, which is something he wasn't able to do 8 years ago. So everything is happening here in West Palm Beach. In addition to those two that you mentioned leading the effort, Don Jr., his son, Eric, his son, are also leading this effort, as well as Vice President-elect J.D. Vance.
Robert, I've written about this. You've written about this. There was no formal transition plan back in 2016. There was an effort put together by Chris Christie. The Trump team basically discarded that and started almost from scratch after winning, as you have said, on election night by surprise. It took everyone in that Trump inner circle by surprise. We've both written about this. It's fundamentally different this time. What are the implications of that difference?
Well, if you don't mind me indulging, since you brought it up, back in 2016, it wasn't just kind of a brief transition away from Chris Christie's transition plan. You had Steve Bannon, the incoming White House chief strategist, as you know, call in Chris Christie and effectively fire him from the transition after Christie and his aides had put together these big briefing books and binders of all these personnel options for then President-elect Trump. And that was a signature moment in the sense of it told you everything about Trump, the team around him in 2016. He's tossing out the traditional Republicans, wants Bannon in there, but then Bannon doesn't get all the power. Reince Priebus comes in as chief of staff. There was this tension. What's so different this time around is nobody, based on what I've been told from people who are at Mar-a-Lago, is pulling any kind of stunt this time around. There's a new dynamic around Trump. There's a wider orbit. He's not just looking to Republicans to staff this administration. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as Caitlin Huey-Burns said, part of the mix, among many others on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley, Elon Musk and his allies. But the dynamic with Trump is different. Trump used to tolerate these kind of acrimonious staff battles. Now, when you talk to Trump people, it's not, fear is not the perfect word, but they don't want to disrupt Trump, who at this point in his career and life has already been president and is in total command of his operation. So it's disciplined because they've been there before, and they also know that Trump's not going to tolerate some kind of sprawling thing. At the same time, Trump still listens to a lot of people, takes calls from people, is always open to change.
And on the personnel side, there are going to be two organizations Americans are going to hear a lot about: America First Priorities and the Heritage Foundation. Briefly, Robert, explain what those places are and what significance they're likely to play in this transition.
They're natural places for Trump to go, conservative organizations, advocacy groups that have long helped staff Republican administrations. And so it's natural for Trump and his team to look to these groups.
And they've been building names and rosters in the last 2 years.
But it's notable that Trump is not just looking to them. So on health care, the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 people, though Trump says he has nothing to do with it and he has disavowed it, Heritage Foundation, generally speaking, is something he still likes, his people still like. Just because the Heritage Foundation or America First policy groups say, oh, we want this to happen, Trump still might listen to a congressman or senator say, you know what, let's go in this direction. And he could listen to them. So they're part of the whole orbit around Trump, but they have in no way a guarantee of influence.
Caitlin, back to you. Do you have any sense of the schedule in the next couple of days? And clearly, the first cabinet appointments that the transition announces are going to suggest to the nation the areas of first priority. Any read on that yet?
We haven't gotten any sense of timeline, although we have been told that they are already working, and we could potentially expect, we're seeing some names circulate. We could potentially expect more decisions next week. But the bottom line here also is that Trump is making the decisions here. He is being brought names, and there is vetting going on by Lutnick and McMahon for him to consider here. But there's also questions about what he may be able to do through executive order on day one. His priorities, as he has talked about on the campaign trail, revolve around immigration and the border, and of course also the economy. So looking at ways to kind of fill those positions, obviously DHS will be a huge player in this. There's also big questions about the Justice Department, given Trump's previous relationship with his first Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. We all know how that went. And Trump himself has, suggested that he would like more control over the Justice Department. That is a big one everyone's watching.
Caitlin, Huey-Burns and Robert Costa, thank you both very much.